Let me guess. Someone stole your Energon roll.
Where you want it?
Bay 12, please.
Welcome back to another Bay 12 video review, and today we are reviewing the new Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition number 6, Starscream. And here he is in the packaging, and as you can see, he looks pretty good on the artwork on the packaging. There's the in-game artwork of our character right there. There he is all close up. And then if you look on the back, the toy pictures don't exactly match. I mean, look, we all put on a little bit of weight during COVID, and when you're locked in your Cybertronian pit house for as long as Starscream was, and you've got nothing but Energon cubes and time, your cockpit's gonna look a little too wide too, I think. So, you know, let's not all judge, all right? Anyway, that's pretty much it for the packaging. And of course, we get our little Studio Series backdrop of Starscream here, and here he is on his Studio Series backdrop, so you can see him taking up all that space. And then if you look really closely at the backdrop art, it looks like it's in Trypticon Space Station from the first mission, where you don't play as Starscream, but Starscream is in charge of that space station. And here is Starscream right out of the packaging, and he's looking big, in more ways than one. But also small, in more ways than one, which is kind of interesting. As much as I was looking forward to updated Seekers in the Gamer Edition, this is not how I was expecting them to be executed. I like the size of it. I like the height. I think the height is very well done. I think he's a decent scale both in robot mode and in jet mode. I also kind of like the length of him in jet mode, but the rest of the proportions on this figure are really, really wonky. Honestly, out of the entirety of the Gamer Edition so far, Starscream's proportions are the weirdest because everybody's been talking about it. The cockpit is way too big, okay? I don't know why you guys made Starscream fat, but you did. The wings, I wouldn't say they're way too small, but they're definitely on the small side. They're definitely smaller than they should be. And the intake bits right here on the top are also a little on the small side. I mean, we just had it in the box with the art literally right next to it. And while he does have a rather kind of large and kind of flatter cockpit display in the artwork, in the official artwork and character model of the game, it's not so drastic like is on here. So that's what I'm kind of stuck on. Now, here's why it's so wide. It's wide like this because this is where the head and neck section go when you transform it. That's why it's wide like this. However, I feel Hasbro could have corrected the issue of here without actually having to remold the figure at all or very much, but could have fixed it with just some more silver paint to just kind of border some of this translucent orange just a little bit to make it a little more accurate than this is, because this is just, it's so large that it's eye-catching. You can't help but be drawn to it, and knowing that it's out of place, it just kind of bugs me. I don't outrightly dislike this figure, but honestly, I would have been happier had they just scaled up the deluxe from the Thrilling 30s line. And that figure definitely had its issues too. And this figure definitely improves upon some of the things that figure had. But when it comes to like cockpit shape and wing proportions and stuff, I would say the Thrilling 30s has this one beat in that regard. But in terms of, you know, figure height itself, the size of this figure overall, I do like this one more. Now, real quick for comparison, and not to be that guy, but here is the Plano Tx version of Fall of Cybertron Starscream, and this is an incredible figure with incredible detail. Definitely some detail on this figure that this one is sorely lacking, but there are some accuracies that this guy has over this guy. Now, if I had to decide with limited budget which one to go with, I'm probably going to go with this one over this guy, especially when it comes to availability. This is an officially licensed product, this one isn't. And also, with the new figures coming out, he's going to scale better than this guy anyway. But that said, when this figure was first getting announced, I was kind of expecting somewhere in between here and here for the new Studio Series Starscream, and I was a little surprised that it wasn't quite what I was expecting. He is, however, fully articulated. Head is on a ball joint, fully articulated shoulders, upper bicep, double jointed elbows, wrist joints, wings. You can take his right arm off only, just like you could with the other figures in this set, and equip his Null Ray blaster. There we go. Like in the first game. And while you're probably thinking, that's not the Null Ray blaster, yes it is. In War for Cybertron, they made the sniper rifle the Null Ray blaster. So, like it or not, that is the Null Ray. I don't necessarily agree with it either. I didn't agree with it back in 2010 when this game came out, and I still don't agree with it 14 years later now that we've got the weapon to go with the figure. But the weapon does look pretty good on his arm. The other thing they did with this one that I like, which was an improvement from some of the other weapons released in this set, it does come with a peg, so he can just hold it in his hand if you want him to, or you can also peg it on to other places of the figure, like on his back, for example, or on his jet mode when he's in jet mode, so you can equip his weapon and have it facing forward. Honestly, I wish we kind of got two of these so we could have twin Null Rays on him, but that wasn't really a play mechanic in the game, and the goal for the Studio Series Gamer Edition is to be as game accurate as possible, despite a couple of hiccups, of course. And for comparison, here is the new mace next to the Plano Tx mace, and I like the little patterns and Cybertronian, just like little lines and textures and stuff on this one. The detail looks really cool, but why not just cast this in translucent purple plastic instead of repainting it purple later and just do it in translucent purple? Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be clear plastic like this, but they could have just, instead of casting this in the leftover orange, cast it in the purple to begin with, and there's no repainting necessary. I don't know. Just from an efficiency point of view, it just doesn't really make much sense to me. Now, Starscream can hold this one too, despite not having a peg at the bottom for him to hold. You can take this apart and put it in his hand like so, and then just put that back on. And honestly, proportionally, this one might look a little bit better in his hands than this one right here. Transformation is kind of interesting with this figure. What we're going to do is we're going to start at the legs, and we're going to open these little side panels. We're going to peg in that side panel into that inner thigh there. Do the same thing over here, open that side panel, peg that panel in. Next thing you want to do is grab this section and grab this other section with your other hand. Pull forward because there's a little tab keeping this knee section locked into place, and then pull to the side like so. And there's a double hinge joint where you're gonna collapse this shin kind of over this part of the leg just a little bit. Do the same thing over here, pull forward just a little, bring that over, bring that down, and it's kind of like he's doing a really weird squat, okay? Next, we're going to fold in these little front toes of his feet, and that's pretty much it for the legs at this point. We're actually basically done. All that's left to do is to flip out these extra little fins right here, which I don't really remember seeing on the character model or on any previous figures, but hey, they're there, and it looks kind of cool, so hey, why not? And then next we're going to pull on this section right here. Open these little wing sections like so, and then open this backpack. There's this little bit that you pull out. Close that back down. Rotate the upper tail fins or dorsal fins, whichever you want to call them. think they're dorsal fins. Whatever it's called. I'm not a plane scientist. Rotate these sections down and have that kind of straightened out like so. And then we're just going to leave this up for right this second while we do the chest section. So for the chest section, we're going to open this and then we're going to pull on the head, raise this up all the way on that joint like so, and bring that forward, untab this, bring that up, come over here to these intakes, peg those together, and those are going to just peg right into this back section right there. And then that'll give you the clearance you need to straighten this out, push that nose cone through, bring the head up. I like to rotate it so he doesn't have his face sticking out of the bottom of his jet mode, and bring that head right there like so. And then this section will collapse right over that. And while this is necessary, this whole panel at least, to cover that whole assembly, I feel as though they could have done some like silver paint, or maybe just adjust the lines on the mold, the texture lines on the mold, to have just a little bit more of this a little higher up, so the cockpit just doesn't look so wonky, because it still looks kind of wonky even in jet mode. And then of course another little complaint I have is they didn't paint the nose cone all the way. I know you don't really see it in robot mode, and I've made the point before that I don't really display my figures in alt mode, but I still wish you had painted it all the way down here. Next up is the arms. For the arms, we're going to rotate forward like so, bring this shoulder section in down all the way at his side, bring this over like so, and then we're going to come down here, rotate these forearms facing inward on those double elbows, and this is the main reason he has the double elbows. Bring those arms together right in the middle, have them tabbed together right there, and that's going to cover that bottom gap section under the jet. And next we can come up here to the top with this double hinge joint like so, bring this back. These little tabs on the bottom are going to tab into the intersections of the leg to secure that back section into the legs. There we go. And then from there, you just adjust your wing positions, which they should be kind of slightly down at an angle. And there is Starscream in his Cybertronian jet mode from War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, the video games. I'm hoping that if we get a Fall of Cybertron release of this Starscream, that he comes with the crown, much like the Plano Tx one here does, because he does have the crown in Fall of Cybertron. It is an item that he wears in-game, as well as an item you can equip on his mission in-game, which was one of the fun little Easter eggs that they did that I really liked about the Fall of Cybertron video game. And while this jet mode isn't wildly inaccurate, or at least not as inaccurate as a lot of people would make it out to be, I still feel as though the wings are just a little too small, especially in jet mode. In jet mode, they seem even more visibly a little too small than they should be. So that's kind of one of my complaints about him in jet mode. I mentioned the nose cone earlier. I still feel as though the cockpit is just a little too big too in jet mode, but it's not bad. He's not a bad figure. He's definitely better than I expected him to be. You can still store his weapon or weapons on his alt mode. I mean, like I said, not very aerodynamic with a big mace just hanging off the jet somewhere, but it is a thing you can do. Or you can just put the null rate in this reason right here. Not so much robot mode, but this reason right here is why I wished there was another one, because I like symmetric weapons on vehicle modes unless it's something where it's going to be in the center. And considering Starscream is a character who traditionally dual wields, I just feel like they should have made an exception this time to make two of these for just the one of him. And real quick for comparison, here is the Studio Series War for Cybertron Starscream next to the Plano Tx. in their jet mode so you can see them. While this one does look really cool, and while you might think, wow, just go with the third party, it's so much better, it also has its own screen inaccuracies and isn't the most perfect example either. Like, for example, the wings on here, while they look cool, the position of them is all wrong. They should be more in the middle, like on this Starscream right here. So while I don't exactly love the size of the wings of this one, at least the positioning of the parts is more accurate here versus here. And while I don't like how big the cockpit is, and I don't like that he has visible head syndrome under here, I do like that, you know, you don't just have his face kind of sticking out right here or the back of his head sticking up right here either, if you don't want to have his face sticking out on the bottom here. So there are things that I like about this figure, but there are things that I also really like about this figure. And while there is some give and take between the two, neither of them are perfect, nor was the Thrilling 30s ones. I wish I had that one still so I could show you on hand the difference between this one, and the Thrilling 30s. But, you know, it is what it is. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's review featuring the new Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition number 6, War for Cybertron Starscream. What did you think of this Starscream yourself? Do you agree and think that the cockpit is too wide and the wings are too small? Or is this the best representation of War for Cybertron Starscream that we've gotten so far? Let me know in the comments down below. Stay tuned for some more Transformers reviews, and like and subscribe and follow us on social media. Check out our sister website, cooltoyreview.com, for all kinds of awesome daily toy news, videos, and more. And like and subscribe to the Cool Toy Review YouTube channel as well. Check out our sister website, rebelscum.com, the world's oldest and largest Star Wars fan website not owned by Disney. And in their nearly 30-year-long history, rebelscum.com is hosting the first official Rebel Scum Con this summer, June 27th through the 30th at the Allen Convention Center in Texas. To book your experience today, go to rebelscumconventions.com with an S. Once again, that's rebelscumconventions.com. And if you're looking for some awesome figures and merch, come by our physical location inside Order 66 Multiverse in the shops at Willowbend Mall in Plano, Texas, which also houses Order 66 Toys, the world's official all-collectible Star Wars toy store. In case you're not local, they go live every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Order 66 Toys Facebook page, and they ship all around the world. Check out our free archival website, collectorsoracle.com, which has mostly Star Wars toys and collectibles on it for now, but it's free to use. You can mark things in your collection, you can mark things you'd like to have in your collection, and like I said, it's all absolutely free. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.